While designating Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations on Monday, President Trump was asked by reporters whether he would consider sending U.S. Special Operations personnel to Mexico. Could happen, the president said. Stranger things have happened. Hey, everybody. Trump says he could send U.S. Special Operations forces to fight Mexican drug cartels. This is out of the Business Insider, and it's something that I said was very possible. Be sure to like and subscribe, and let's kind of get into this a little bit here. Trump says he could send U.S. special operators after Mexican drug cartels. It could make things a lot worse, say people, and this is the president's statement right here. While designating Mexican drug cartels foreign terrorist organizations on Monday, President Trump was asked by reporters whether he would consider sending U.S. Special Operations personnel to Mexico. Could happen, the president said, noting that stranger things have happened. I said as soon as he signed that order declaring them a terrorist organization that this was very possible and probable. The only reason you designate someone like that is because you intend to take not just judicial action, but you intend to take some form of military action. This is crazy. This is crazy, and it could possibly happen or be happening as we speak. That's very possible. And this article goes through how U.S. special operators would go into Mexico and work with Mexican law enforcement and Mexican military personnel to take down these drug organizations. There's a huge problem with that, and we're going to get into that in just a second. But as part of this, bolstering Mexico's internal defenses could be a worthwhile endeavor, the active duty special operator told Business Insider. But prioritizing military intervention over nonviolent approaches like empowering State Department and Treasury departments to apply pressure on the financial institutions used by cartels would be foolhardy. So, what you're hearing from the special operator is bolstering their internal defenses and stuff would be very worthwhile. Very worthwhile. The problem is how corrupt the government is there. The drug cartels own the Mexican government. It's not even a question, in my opinion. You have whole states in Mexico basically run by cartels. It's a sad state of affairs down there. And when you have the amount of money that these people are doing in business, it's very hard to root them out just militarily. I'm going to give you an example here. This is from April 2011. How a big U.S. bank laundered billions from Mexico's murderous drug cartels. As violence spreads, billions of dollars of cartel cash began to be swept into the global financial system. But a special investigation by observers reveals how increasingly frantic warnings from one London whistleblower were ignored. And what that whistleblower was saying was that billions and billions of dollars were being laundered through Wachovia. Now, Wachovia was bought by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo has nothing to do with any of this. They bought a dying bank that was clearly doing illegal things, and they took them in and straightened their asses out. But here's the kind of the gist of this. More shocking and more important. The bank was sanctioned for failing to apply the proper anti-laundering structures to the transfer of $378.4 billion, equivalent of 1/3 of Mexico's gross national product. That's the kind of dollars we're talking about here. $378 billion, the sum equivalent to 1/3 of Mexico's gross national product into dollar accounts in Mexico. Wachovey's blatant disregard for our banking laws gave international cocaine cartels a virtual carte blanche to finance their operations, since Jeffrey Sloman, the federal prosecutor. Yet the total fine was less than 2% of the bank's $12.3 billion profit in 2009. Cost of doing business, baby. Cost of doing business. Now, what happened to those bankers? One or two faced charges. Nobody at the top. Nobody at the top. So, like the special operator said in the article here, bolstering Mexico's internal defenses could be a worthwhile endeavor, but prioritizing military intervention over nonviolent approaches like empowering the state and treasury departments to apply pressure to institutions used by cartels would be foolhardy. These are those institutions. They're laundering their money today. Have to be. I certainly am in no position to accuse any bank. I can almost guarantee Wells Fargo wouldn't be involved. They learned their lesson when they purchased Wachovey and had to deal with all Wachovey's crap. They're the ones who had to pay Wachovey's fines for them. I'm sure they've had enough of that. So Mexico, they're very important to us. Very important. Extremely important. Our relationship with Mexico is one of the only we really need in this entire world.
Here are our Mexican neighbors. The Mexican economy is larger. The Mexican population is more value added and more skilled. And the Mexican export portfolio is more advanced than the entirety of Central Europe. Mexico is the only country on the planet we need from an economic point of view. It's the only one we can't turn our backs on from an economic point of view. Think of Donald Trump. Think of what he said during his campaign the first time around about Mexico. Some very not nice things, I might add. Within a year, even he realized just how critical the relationship was. And it's the only one we can't turn our backs on from an economic point of view. Think of Donald Trump. Think of what he said during his campaign the first time around about Mexico. Some very not nice things, I might add. Within a year, even he realized just how critical the relationship was. And the result, among other things, was NAFTA 2, and the friendliest bilateral relationship we have had with Mexico since its foundation as a republic in the 1800s. There are a lot of things about Donald Trump that I'm just like, oh, but wow, he was dead on that one. Which means that we need to pay attention to Mexico in a way we have not. This is the Mexican population structure. This is just a flat out population density map. Take a look at Texas. And this is broadly what we think of in the United States when we think of normal. You have a dense population center surrounded by suburbs and then speckles of small towns beyond that. Why? Because it freaking rains in America. You can have small towns because that's where the farms base. But look at Mexico. You get sprawling cities in the 1,000 miles from the border south, and then nothing. You don't have the population density of a downtown core because it was never an entrepot system like we have in Dallas or Kansas City or Des Moines. They're isolated from one another. Now, from an economic point of view, that means that Mexican labor is in limited supply. There is no hinterland to draw upon. So the first movers who take advantage of Mexican labor are the only ones who really win. That's one of the reasons why we're seeing the greatest industrialization push in this country right now as industrialists relocate manufacturing plant from East Asia to North America. They're starting to realize that the Mexicans have become a precious resource. But it also means that you guys face a complication. Cartel control map. Now this is from 2015. You guys remember El Chapo? He was kind of badass in a terrifying way. El Chapo was not your normal kingpin. This is not The Sopranos. He didn't run a mob boss operation. He kind of ran a Korean-style conglomerate. He would bring in all of his regional commanders a couple of times a year, and they would compare notes. And he would lay down a few basic laws. Don't engage in petty crime. Don't steal widowers' pension checks. Don't mug people. We are drug smugglers. Focus on our core competency. And if you want to branch out, you have to clear it with me first. So people come in and say, well, what about methamphetamines? He's like, well, what about methamphetamines? It's like, well, we can get this from this and this from this, and we can run along the same routes to the same distributors in the United States. Approved. What about cocaine? He's like, we can't grow cocaine. Oh, but with a grant from USAID, we can do hybridization. We can probably grow some in Sinaloa. Approved. That's how he ran the place. So in 2016, he became our wanted number one, and we got him. And then he got away, and then we got him again, and now he's in prison forever. Removing that personality, the manager, the guy who saw drug smuggling as a business and not as warfare, changed the map. And here's where we are now. The Sinaloa was the orange. The blue is Jalisco New Generation. They used to be the enforcers for Sinaloa, and after El Chapo fell, they went into business for themselves. They see the drug business as a war. They see intimidation and mass murder as an end and not just as a means to one. Now, this would be bad for any number of reasons. You guys hear about the avocado ban that's in the country right now? That's Sinaloa. I'm sorry, that's Jalisco New Generation. They've expanded into parallel industries, agriculture, transport, tourism, local government, and they are the single biggest organized crime group in the world right now. But their presence north of the border is almost non-existent. But here are the plazas. You'll notice that they are now all split authority. Jalisco New Generation is challenging each pre-existing crime structure to get control of the plazas. American strategic policy on the drug war has kind of an echo of American strategic policy on Afghanistan. When we were in Afghanistan, if we saw two jihadist groups going at it, green on green action, we'd let them go. Not a problem for us. That's kind of how we've thought of the cartel wars. But if Jalisco New Generation gets control of a plaza, today Sinaloa, El Chapo's group, is the single largest crime group in the United States. Single largest. If Jalisco New Generation brings the Mexican drug war north of the border, we have a very different problem. And it's not a problem that law enforcement on this side of the border can solve. So whether you're looking at this from a demographic point of view, a drug point of view, a civil authority point of view, a strategic point of view, this is your next war. We haven't thought about how to fight it yet. The yellow is arid, the orange is desert, all this hash is verticality, roughly 1 mile above sea level. You know what I see when I look at that? Empty spaces, rugged terrain, dry terrain, an unsecurable border. This is Afghanistan. The same tool set that we use there, we're probably going to have to use in northern Mexico.
I just wanted to make sure that people know that this has been thought of. This was a presentation by Peter Zeihan at Fort Moore, Georgia, to the Maneuver of Excellence Conference of the U.S. Army. This is not something that is just piecemeal coming about. This is something that I don't want to use the word in the works, but we like to plan. So the United States military has been considering this for a while. And the fact that they have been is a little frightening. And it also goes to show that this new Trump-Monroe policy is going to have teeth. It's going to have teeth. So do I think Trump will send special operators to Mexico, like Business Insider is saying? I think they're already there. I think they're there. This is all part of the Trump-Monroe policy. This doctrine is taking shape, and it's going to take shape over 4 years. If J.D. Vance gets in, expect it to continue. Again, I'm still waiting to hear the Cuba stuff. It's going to be major, I'm sure. Not militarily, diplomatically. I expect a major push. But Mexico, expect some gringos. That's what I got. And I appreciate you. And I thank you.